Welcome to the Rubberducky YouTube channel, everyone. And tonight we have a good panel of RD researchers. I've got Sammy. Hi, Sammy.
Hi, how
Welcome
are
to the
you?
Rubberducky YouTube channel, everyone. Oh, I did it again. You guys, why don't anybody tell me this? Panel of RD researchers. I gotta mute it. I've got Sammy. Now somebody else has got to mute it.
I did.
Okay, we're good to go.
Oopsie.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so we've got Sammy in the house. And
Hello.
we've got Lily. You here?
I am here. Hi, everybody.
And BB, you here?
Yeah, everybody already just heard me screw up having my
Yeah.
Italian.
Me too. We already started this off once and had to restart because guess what? Rubberducky timed out BB and we wanted to talk to BB, so we had to start our live over because apparently she couldn't get back in. So how fun is that? So ladies, let's go say hi to everybody real quick. Oh, let's see. What screen do I need? I got 80 of them open. All right. There we go. Let's see. Hey, Kelly, how are you? Yeah, I'm glad you made it to a live too. Very happy. Yep. Kelly writes that TH being alive is definitely a conversation that needs to be addressed. Chances are low, but it is still, in fact, a chance that can't be ruled out.
Yep.
Very true, very true. So what do you guys, what was the first time, we're going to ask BB this. BB, what was the first time that you can recall of thinking something wasn't right with the victim that you yourself believed that she was alive or that there was a chance?
Just simply wanting to see her pictures. Simply that I wanted to see the victim's pictures. She was a photographer. I wanted to see her pictures.
Okay, so she's a photographer. You thought there should be a lot of pictures. And how many did you find in the beginning?
Very few. I've only seen a few pictures that she supposedly took. But what I found instead was another person with the same photography name, just a misspelled one.
Okay, so you found a victim with the same name, but they had it spelled differently?
Not a victim, a photographer.
Okay, a photographer. I'm saying in the Halbach case, you found someone that did the same thing as the victim is in the state's version.
Yep. Well.
And the name was spelt just a little different.
Yep.
Okay. Well, what we're talking about tonight, you guys.
Same photography studio name.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. So what we're going to talk about tonight, you guys, is we're going to walk the theory, what if Teresa Halbach is alive and well? And it's a theory. We're just walking it out, feeling it out. There are those people that absolutely believe that. And I have respect for them because there is no scientific proof that Teresa Halbach has died. So in light of that, I don't think we should play deaf ears. I think we should listen to what they have to say, as well as there are days when I'm on board. I'm like, this woman can't be dead. One of the reasons I've personally felt that way for a long time is because of the fact that her Social Security number is still remains active. That's a big deal to me.
I agree. Me too.
Yes.
So Sammy, how do you feel? Is she alive or dead?
Well, first of all, when I watched everything, the MaM 1 and 2, at the very first, I think what I came to was this. Okay, they had absolutely not proven to me that she was dead, that she had been the victim, or that she was dead, and so that bothered me. It bothered me immensely because I've been a juror several times in my life, and that's a big deal. That's a very big deal. I couldn't get over the fact that nobody even noticed. So that bothered me, and that started me on this path of wondering she might still be alive.
So in both of the situations with BB and you guys feel that this was a real person and that she played a role and then she disappeared afterwards. Is that correct?
Something along
believe,
those lines.
yeah, I believe something along those lines too, because it's very strange how there's no real history of the individual. They kind of come in for however many
Some
years
days,
and
some days
disappear.
I'm not sure how exactly you weave it, but that it's been woven.
Well, I do know one of the reasons that there are days when I'm on board with you guys is because I have been in this case for as long as there was, the day after MaM was released, so forth, on the investigation of the victim. And that's where I started. It wasn't on investigating Steven. It wasn't on investigating Brendan. I was more interested in the victim themselves first. And so when I started looking into it, I could not find anything that showed me where she went to school, where this person lived. There was just absolutely nothing. It's like absolutely a void when you try to find out anything about where she went to elementary school, where was she baptized, any of this. You don't see anything before 2002 except for one newspaper.
Article
And
that lists them in the names, yeah.
yeah, and that was
Yeah.
still late in the picture of things. It was still late high school. So where's this person as an individual, as a youth and as a child and so forth? Yes, we do have the birth certificate. And yes, we have a death certificate. But documents, as to quote Couchet, documents can be forged, right? So in the light
We
of
we also
being
have a driver's license. Yeah.
right, in light of the fact that Gene Couchet was bringing that up, and he's
Yeah.
law enforcement, he would know if documents could be forged. Well, there you go. So where is the normal everyday today stuff that we're supposed to see these pictures of? Um, it really bothers me that there's not a historical way to look her up. Like, all the time when my kids were young in 2005, um, I would get little newspaper clippings throughout the year where they did something in school and they happened to be on the team. We don't see her on any teams in school. What about yearbooks?
And
Oh.
this was supposed to be someone who was somewhat athletic and competitive type person and educated. I mean, you would think that there would be some record.
There's
Right.
currently there's a grant or something at the college for people who are taking liberal arts, I believe, with some photography or something.
Well, now, Ducky, going kind of along those lines, because the more I researched with everyone and the more I found out about the lack of a history or a record or anything anywhere of this individual, you know, um, this could indicate that this person was working with, for, or being protected by an alphabet agency, in my mind, as a whole big picture. And in that case, you know, there's no existence of her decades before. Where did she come from? Does anyone even know? Uh, it's not so far-fetched that she's working for, or working with, for, or being protected by such an agency. And we are finding out it could be within the family lineage. You don't know. And it's possible, and it may be more common than most people would ever know. Framing Steven Avery for murder alone makes their lawsuit go away for the state, and poof, it's gone. While at the same time, they're allowing Teresa Halbach, to go dark and drop out of existence into another identity, allowing her to work with, for, or be protected by a higher authority. This also would lend support from high up to frame anyone, anywhere, anytime of anything, helping the state out of a very serious lawsuit, forever assuming no one would ever give this a second look.
Yeah,
'Cause
I'm sure nobody ever could have imagined this would ever be looked at.
And the state's need to escape the lawsuit, that overrode the fact that anyone would ever ask, are they at it again, convicting an innocent person,
Well, and you have some very, 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 very valid points. One of the concerns that I've expressed very recently was the idea that when we start off the Halbach case, Ken Kratz and Jerome Buting made a gentleman's agreement on the identification of the victim originally. And that was that there would be no questions asked and no medical nor legal documentation identifying whose pap smear, or questioning, I should say, whose pap smear was being used. And the problem with that for me is if we're really looking at the correct pap smear for the correct person, there would be medical backup to say this is Teresa Halbach.
Needed to be in question. Yes.
But the moment anything goes through Sherry Cohen's hands, you can't trust it anyway, even if there was paperwork.
That I'll agree with 100%.
Any lawyer worth their salt would not agree to something like that and would question, absolutely would question the identity of that.
Yeah.
Well, without that, they really have a hard time proving that she is she.
Right.
And if they swapped out everybody's everything with somebody else's, then everything's going to come out that it's her.
Well, okay. So let's take the path. Let's say that this individual played their ABC role. Okay. So when we say ABC, you've got all kinds of agencies in the United States that are usually 3 letters. We'll let you figure that out. So I thank you for coining that phrase for us tonight, because that helps us kind of walk this. So if she is working for this type of agency, do you girls feel that she went through with the appointments? Because we have that one disconnect where the individual knew she was going here. She'd been here several times. She knew all the places where to go previously to her appointments. And then on the 31st, the day the individual disappears, it's like she got amnesia and no longer knows how to get to the Dassey Avery residence.
Well,
so there's a disconnect there.
For me, she's always alive, okay? And for me, it's pretty much always Carmen's bones and stuff that was used. And I'm not sure which came first, the chicken or the egg some days, but she's always alive.
I get that. I totally get that.
It can be woven several different ways within there. I don't necessarily think it's any kind of a legal government agency thing, maybe sometimes, but it probably is.
You're walking the fence, baby.
But she's still alive. She's always alive, I said.
So in your mind, she's alive.
It can weave around kind of like a snake any sort of way.
Let's go this far. Let's say that the original
I don't think she could be in a legal type of witness relocation program, because...
Are you saying illegal or illegal?
I don't think she could be in a legal one, because... Well, there's several reasons, but it would be kind of a sloppy one if it was. And I don't think you can frame somebody for your murder and to go into witness relocation. I would like to believe that at any rate. So.
All right. So let's go ahead and let's put the stake in the ground as Dr. Silkman loves to say, let's go ahead tonight. We're going to walk the theory that the original Pap smear, because it has no paperwork, we're going to walk the theory that it does not belong to Teresa Halbach. So where does that put the rest of this case? Because we have a cherry soda in the vehicle, and we have a bone with tissue that matches the Pap smear. So now if we're not talking Teresa Halbach, you're suggesting Carmen. So then the question becomes,
I always think it's Carmen.
Then the question becomes, well, if Carmen is cremated, which the fact is Carmen was cremated on the 8th of November, then let's say that they found the bones earlier, because it's been strongly suggested that the evidence leads us to believe that the actual pelvic bone was found prior to Carmen's cremation. So now, if the bone is matching the soda and it is matching the Pap smear, how could that have been accomplished?
Is it really matching?
Okay. Because you're talking about Sherry Culhane?
Well,
Yeah, I mean, look at this whole thing.
Yeah.
Wasn't everything burnt to calcification or something and unable to
Calcined?
be? Yeah.
It's not the same process, I don't believe, to come to that conclusion. I don't follow that. I just don't. I feel like, okay, for instance, the pieces of skull that have a gunshot hole in them from being shot, okay, that could freaking belong to somebody's grandma for all we know. I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm just saying. I love Dr. Silkman, but dude, that could belong to JFK for all we know. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't test it.
Right. So without the test, there's absolutely no way to know if we're
I
even
have
dealing.
no proof.
And it does say in your defense.
And while we
to
are
back you
saying
up,
bones,
Sammy.
and while we are saying bones, I just have to for 1 minute mention the chicken wing, because there was clearly in the box of bones a chicken wing.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So Sammy, in your theory that I lost my train of thought just now completely.
Sorry.
That's
I want
okay.
absolute proof. I want absolute proof of
I know
who
what I
that
was going to
person
say.
is.
So when we read the autopsy report of Teresa Halbach, and we've shared that with everybody. We had it for a while. We finally shared it. We do have a video of that out there. I believe it's called Teresa Halbach's autopsy report. And then now we have Carmen Botwell's autopsy, but we can't share it with anybody at this point. So for legal reasons. But in reading it, I found it interesting that in both Carmen, well, actually, it wouldn't even be Carmen's. It would have been Christine Rudy's. I misspoke. It would have been, we do have Carmen's, but in Christine Rudy's and Teresa Halbach's, both of them, the MD, the medical doctor that signs off, states something along the lines of, if we are to assume that we are looking at the remains of one individual. And he says that on both Christine Rudy's and Teresa Halbach's autopsy
And do you know why it is that they come to that? Do you know why? Because they only have one of everything. So they assume that it all belongs to one person.
Yeah, well, we know where assumption gets us.
Right. So my thing is this: until all of that was tested to be verified as to who exactly those belong to, they have not proven to me. All I see is something that could have came from somewhere after they had a valid death, that they were cremated. And for all I know, for all the things that we have found with all of the missing people, murdered people, that cases that have never been solved, that could belong to anybody. And it could belong to 5 somebodies. I don't know.
Well,
And
and in all fairness, go ahead, Lily.
well, and it's not like that's the only body that was ever found in the gravel pit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. There you go.
You know,
We
That's
do have
right.
multiple victims. Deb
uh,
Sukawati, which happened to be Carmen Botwell's aunt, was also
Mhm.
found bludgeoned to death in the head in the gravel pit.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
was 1977. She was dating Tom Tadich, by the way.
And who knows, through the years, what's happened in that gravel pit, that hasn't been caught, or hasn't been found out. So,
Yeah. Well, and the cadaver dogs hit on the gravel pit.
yep.
They hit about 8 feet up on a gravel pile. The cadaver dog did. He hit on the conveyor itself. They hit on the deer camp back stoop of the Little Red Deer Camp place. The cadaver dog walked all the way, strongly guiding their worker to Cuss Road, where we have a major crime scene blocked off. Now, they try to pull the wool over us. So there's a cry wolf in this. So they cry wolf. They bring everybody to stop what they're doing. They come to Cuss Road. They go to this little shallow grave, and they all toss around the grass with a few shovels and say, nope, nothing here to see, move on. And everybody goes back to their job and there's nothing of it. And they like to say, well, there was nothing there. It was a false alarm. But if you continue to read the CASO, it's within hours that they're all called back to a different place, which is right at the cul-de-sac. And then we get the actual exhibit photos where you see DCIs there. You got Calumet County emergency vehicles. You've got 5 black SUVs. I mean, really, honestly, we know something happened. The cadaver dog led them right from the deer camp straight to Cuss Road. They're told they can't pass. And so they asked to get a hold of whoever's in charge, what happened to be Sheriff Pogel. Make a phone call on Pogel. You know what he says? This is a crime scene. We can't let the dogs down here.
Yeah.
The dogs spent more time off salvage yard than they did
They're
on it.
not on it. Yep.
So,
Well, and that's where all the evidence is found all the way around it.
yep.
It's weird how, if we really take this, whoever the victim is, so we're not saying Teresa tonight, we're just saying the victim because we don't know who it is. There's no scientific proof that tells us this is Teresa or anyone else. We just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But this victim is spread out. We have pelvic bones down in the quarry. We've got what's considered a long bone with flesh attached in the Michaels material quarry. We've got some bones down in the burn barrel at the Randett Deer Camp. And then there's human bones in the Dassey burn barrel. And then we also hear about them all getting called to the water because of a burnt foot, what appeared to be a burnt foot. And then the one guy comes out and says, well, I think it was just insulation. I don't buy that. I think they're finding body parts all over. So the MO is really spread out. But let's get back to the she's alive thing. So if this individual was alive, we're going to hit you with a hard question, ladies. What would prevent the police from saying, give us a couple bags of blood to smear around in the trailer at the time when she was exiting the scene? Or even if she lived across the country, just saying, hey, we're going to send somebody to pick up some files of blood and some of your hair.
I think she was already gone at the time that this all happened.
But for 36 million, I bet they could have flown over to Cairo in Egypt and got it if that's where she was even.
I don't think that they had.
Question.
I don't think that they had enough forethought of every single solitary detail, or this wouldn't have been screwed up so bad. I really don't. I do believe that somehow, some way, they had to make this lawsuit go away, and at any cost. And even to the point of there was a little panic
at the last minute.
Yeah, I think there was a little.
Well, this is a last minute. If I'm going with you girls on your walk here, and I say, okay, we're going to make this a last minute, it contradicts everything we know of the Peg L situation, which was the Attorney General, Peg Lockenschlager. because we know that they were having meetings, closed door meetings with King Krat, Sherry Culhane, and others that are very high up in the, and Jerry Buting as well. So what I would suggest that would be a compromise, more or less, that could fit both scenarios very tidily, would be that if Teresa Halbach was the temporary backup replacement that they had to have in a quick fix. So if, for instance, they originally planned a separate victim and something didn't pan out, then it would explain the phone call of, on that last day of, I don't know where you live, you're going to have to help me, blah, 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 blah. This is Halbach from Auto Trader. It would explain why she didn't know her route, even though she supposedly, allegedly had done this so many times. It would explain why the previous person had said they were going to be done October 31st with Auto Trader to their boss, Tom Pierce. And it would explain why it seems like everything got jumbled up and was happening just a little too quick, or out of time, I guess is the word.
Yeah, out of time. Yeah, everything.
Out of time.
Okay, going with
I
that,
think they're
then
fine-tuning it right down to the wire.
yeah, down to the wire for sure. But what if they had people that decided they did not want to be a willing participant?
Okay. So we do have that situation reported with Carmen Botwell. So if you girls are thinking it's Carmen, there are some things that have been expressed to us from family, friends, and so forth. One of them was that Carmen was being pressured by the DCI very seriously before her death, and that she was not agreeing to do whatever it was they were asking. So in that situation, we could have, if we were walking the theory out with you guys, then we would most likely see a possibility of Carmen first, and then Teresa, the fill-in backup. Just kind of walking that. But we're going to switch gears a little bit, but there's a good transition here. Are you guys ready? Okay.
Sure.
All right. So what we've been talking about, Dr. Sookman and me this week, we've been talking, and bye, Dr. Sookman. We'll see you again soon. I hope your appointment goes good. Dr. Sookman worked real hard, and so did all of you ladies, and we got out the mini MaM. They kind of go hand in hand because they're talking about the big old bloody handprint on the back of this bluish RAV. So the complication is that if Teresa's alive and well, and Carmen is found dead in her apartment of an overdose with no signs of blood, who put their bloody handprint on the RAV?
Some idiot that didn't realize that they still had blood on them, whether it be from playing in the blood that they got from wherever, or somebody actually was a victim and they had their hands on them.
Or they were hurt themselves.
Yep.
Or they could have basically, and this is going to sound terrible, plug your ears if you're going to get offended very easily, because I'm going to say something kind of grotesque a little bit, a little morbid. So I was reading the CASO, and it stated that their first bone was found on the 12th. So what I'm thinking is, when you read Carmen Botwell's autopsy, it's completed and done by the 4th. So if we had some dismemberment going on prior to her funeral, they could have removed her bottom half.
Well,
they may have blood on their hands when they're trying to.
There's supposed to be something to do with that some crematoriums, some of the older ones used to be small, and where they had to do something similar to that and lay the bottom half on top of the top half in there to cremate it.
Let's talk
Was
about.
that did they say their first bone or their last piece of evidence?
They said their first bone. And then they said they found their last piece of evidence, which was 2 more bones.
How would they know that that's their last piece of evidence? I mean, seriously.
Because they were done. They pulled up out of they closed the investigation in the sense of field work. They pulled all of the
If they'd have kept
investigators
looking, they
back
could have
to.
maybe found the other 60-some-odd%.
Would you ever put on any report ever? I know that you're saying that they shut it down and they were done. But what I'm trying to tell you is this. If you are truly in an investigation and you're searching and you know you only have so many pieces of bone, maybe, would you not continue to keep this going? No, they were in a hurry. They wanted to hurry up. They had enough. They had enough stuff that they could turn around and say, okay, we got enough to go point at this person.
Well,
that doesn't make sense. That's not a real investigation.
I'm going to play the other side of the coin. They're in Wisconsin. It's November 12th. And if they got a hell of a snowstorm coming in, their investigation is done.
Yeah, because everything's going to be covered in snow and frozen.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by November 12th, it's very rare not to have a couple feet, at least get a 6-inch dusting. In that case, I would have to look at the weather to see if they got snow to see if that could be justified or not. But that is one thought.
When they found the RAV that day, there was winds, there was some rain, some clouds.
But that's the 5th.
No snow.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say as far as the weather at that time. I get that. I get what you're saying. I mean, because I went through that.
We can have rain on the 5th, and then we can be 6 feet under the next day in
It
Wisconsin.
was really warm the week of Halloween for up here.
Yeah.
That year.
That's unnatural.
I thought
actually.
so too. I thought so too.
We're many times we're either in shorts, October 31st, or we're in snowsuits.
But my point is, any investigation, are you ever going to write?
We're done now.
I don't see. There's two different ways you can interpret that. They could be saying, okay, the last piece we found was this piece, or I interpreted it when I first read that's it. That's our last piece. We're done. We're out of here. You get it? You see what I mean? Instead of that was the last piece that we found.
I got your point. Yeah. I was just, like I said, I was just showing you the other side of what could have maybe been, going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But my point was, if this really was Sean Rudy, okay, we've got him killing her and dismembering her on the 12th. By now, Steve Avery's Teresa Halbach story is all over the damn news. How do we know that Sean Rudy didn't get it stuck in his head that he had a way to get rid of the pieces of his wife?
Yeah.
When it didn't burn, how do we know that he didn't just want rid of, the pregnancy part in the river? But he might have got rid of her. He was on meth. He did crazy things. Manitowoc, from the location that he was at, is about maybe a 2-hour, 15-minute drive. And this was a guy that had no problem traveling across the entire state of Wisconsin and going into another state and doing 27, according to him, 27 burglaries of bars and even a home. So at the point that they find this other piece, it's not the part that is found in the quarry. It's the part that I'm hearing about in Michael's material quarry that catches my eye. When all of a sudden they're like, got what we needed, and they close up shop.
Yep.
And they're reporting that that's the first time they had found, quote unquote, a bone. So it could have been Christine Rudy's. It's within realm. And that would still leave your theory intact.
Oh, yeah. Too many.
Right.
I've been through everybody's theories with them. I've listened, and we've kind of run through, and I'm sorry, but too many pieces fall right into place properly with you thinking about the fact that she could She could ultimately be protected by another agency or working with them. And if that's the case, their duties become so much more important than the communities that they're residing in at that moment.
Right.
And that means that any one of us could become part of their scenario that they want to give, or a narrative they want to give at any given moment, which means, this could have been something that worked out very well for the state and very well for her. Who in the world was ever going to look at this ever again?
Yeah.
Especially this
there's
way.
no way they thought anybody would give two shits about Steve Avery
Yeah.
in 06. There is no way.
I need to make a call out. Kelly Love, it's nothing. This Austin Anderson is just a troll and he's being ugly and he's been handled and reported. So no worries. Daisy Lady, she says she's got quite a bit here I want to read. It's so weird that you're talking about Carmen tonight. I just did some deep digging into her court case info. The first 3 cases are Manitowoc County and each has a different address. The last 2 were traffic cases in City of Sheboygan, with the first address being Sheboygan rather than Manitowoc. But one of these 2 was for revoked license on 8/14/05, yet it was reinstated the week prior to 8/7/05. So it had just been reinstated, and then 7 days later they revoke it again is what happened. It seems Lieutenant Irick had an issue with her and wanted to document it. Just some oddities I wanted to share. Okay, and when you look at Carmen, when we hear that family members have in the past talking to friends and stuff, we found out that Carmen was being harassed by DCI. And she was telling them, no, 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 I won't do this. Well, we also can look at the scenario in her court cases. She actually got a ticket for an unattended hit and run. And that's always bothered me. I'm wondering, is it her vehicle that's unattended, or did she hit an unattended car? Whatever it was, she goes to court about it. And it's supposed to be about this ticket for this hit and run, when all of a sudden there's a note on the legal court document, the wall, and it basically states that Carmen Botwell is now been given a no contact issued against her for Gary Cree. So she can't contact Gary Cree. Now everybody's like, well, who in the world is Gary Cree? Well, what's strange is Gary Cree is Ricky Hotchletter, the gentleman that was killed that was 17 years old in the hit and run before. That's his brother-in-law, Gary Cree is. So I don't know what all that's about. Now, there have been some other stories that have been spoken by friends of the family that state that Gary Cree was seen early in the wee hours of the morning exiting Carmen Botwell's home. Then what was interesting is another family friend came to me and stated that Gary Cree mentioned that his brother, that's all he said, his brother, Sean, actually was there when they removed Carmen Botwell from her apartment after she was found there. So my question is that like, and we don't know how much of it is true. This is just what family friends are saying. Now, I do know these are verified family friends, and they have no reason to lie. And at the point when they said that, it didn't make any sense. But then when the Sean Rudy case came in, and I was thinking, Gary Cree, if he was involved with drugs, a lot of the guys will say, hey, you're my bro, meaning it kind of slang brother. So I was wondering when he said Sean, if he was referring to possibly Sean Rudy.
That's a possibility.
Daisy Lady says she didn't go to court. It was a default judgment with wrong address. The citations were mailed to her. Well, in the one I have, Daisy Lady, she actually demands a hearing immediately, and there is a no contact issued against her for Gary Cree. So I'm not sure if she appeared in court or if there was some mailings going on, but it showed it on her CCAP. So that's what I was going by. But I'm not sure if she appeared in person in court or if she did it by mail. So I find that there are some connections here that bother me a lot. The fact that we have Teresa and we have Christine Rudy with the same type of murder, even the cut marks on the bones.
Right.
So, all right. Is there anything else you guys want to express about She's Alive theory?
Not currently. Still working on my project with it.
Okay.
Well, just to sum it all up, it starts out with you have to realize that in this court case where somebody is convicted, they have no scientific proof. And how important is that for an argument of murder, right?
Right.
Because there's no testing of victim bones to identify the actual victim. And due to the determination of the cause of death, of the other deaths, people are surrounding this case of others. We do not know who the skull bones actually belong to, or any of those bones for that matter. There's
Right.
no murder scene, no pools of blood.
I
Yeah.
find it
What else?
interesting.
What else?
I really find it
I
interesting.
do want to
that,
call out one other thing.
Mhm.
The suspicious and weird and shady things that Mike Hallenbach said when he was interviewed. The family's lack of grieving. Even at the candlelight vigil.
I have to agree with that. There's definitely something
Not right
not
with the
right
family.
about the family. Yeah.
Right.
He's referring to her in the past tense. He's saying the weird thing about that they'll grieve for, like a day, a minute, an hour, a minute, whatever, And then there's the one where he's saying that would be terrible, a mess if she's alive. And it's like, give me a break. Who talks like that?
I put some pictures up here. So Karen is actually talking and crying on camera while her daughter is missing.
Oh, is this
So
the one from the where she's showing the scrapbook?
I think later she does. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But what I did is I pulled up her picture where she's supposed to be crying, and I did quick shutter. So I want you to look at these pictures, you guys. There's no red eyes. There's no swollen eyes. There's
swollen
no tears.
nose, no raw nose from wiping your nose.
Yep. And what's strange is even when she closes her eyes to wince, she doesn't even close them all the way. And there's no tears shed. There's no real emotion behind this. Even in this distraught face here, her eyes are dry. There's no redness around any parts of her face. There's no swollen eyelids. And it honestly, you can see she's trying so hard to look like she's crying.
Yep.
But we have dry eyes.
Yep.
It's like that the whole
Dry as
time while
bone.
she's missing, after she's found dead, during the court. It's like that continually.
Well,
and you're right. Mike
I just
and Tom Pierce have something in common. They both continue to refer to the missing victim that's supposed to be alive in past tense.
Yeah. Yes. No
There's
way around it. The family's behavior was just bizarre.
I think we say
if
that
somebody wants to be offended because I say that, I'm sorry, but that's just my take on it. So
I think just as a, overall, anyone ever imagines losing a child, you would imagine being so distraught. There's no way I could talk to any camera at any point in time, probably not even after a funeral is all over. No way. I just can't see that. Not for me.
Well, and there are people that can control their emotion in public, but they can't control it at home when they lose somebody they care about.
Right.
What
And their
happens
eyes
is,
are going to be red. Their eyes are going to be swollen. Their nose is going to be raw and red.
But I wanted to continue to point out there was no murder scene. You cannot have a murder like this, like was narrated, happened,
Like what they described.
without a murder scene or leaving one, please. You know, there's such small amounts of blood that, to be honest with you, this case begins, and dare I say, with no body, because they did not verify any of those bones. Then given away, so the case thus ends with no body. Okay? So it's all a slam dunk for them.
so I have where Sorowski and Halbach marry. So this would have been Richard Halbach, the only picture I have of him. And look how much look at her. She's changed quite a bit, obviously, many years later. But think of Tom Halbach, and then think of this face. Him and his brother looked almost identical. Don't you find that interesting? I just find that so strange. I know people favor, but look at him. Looks like the same guy to me.
I have a quick question, Ducky. Well, actually, for the audience, is there, when we look at your desktop, for me, it's very blurry.
Me too.
Is anybody else?
Then it must be YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I just go through YouTube to do it.
Okay. Yeah, so we're not be able to see quite as.
I'm on the phone.
But
It's
some of the
pretty clear.
pictures are really, really fuzzy too in this case.
Well, I had noticed it in the past, but no biggie.
Right.
We'll check later. But
I'll pull up a good crystal clear picture and you tell me are you on your phone or are you on a computer?
My laptop.
Okay. How's that picture? Is it blurry to you?
That is probably one of the more blurrier ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crystal clear for me.
Yeah, I see it really
for you,
clear on my phone.
Maybe it is just me. Okay.
I'm on a phone.
We can go on.
Let me pull up another one. Here's another really crystal clear one. It's Teresa and her little sisters.
That's adorable.
Yep, that's one of the earliest pictures I have of Teresa. Is
Well,
that clear for you, BB?
Other than a little kid one. There's a
couple little bitty ones.
In my walking this line of Teresa's alive, I in no way want to, hurt anyone's feelings or dig up old things, but I will say this, that I'm looking at it from a legal standpoint as far as the proof of loss of life of any individual. I want to know who those individuals are. People lost lives, period.
Yeah.
But irregardless, if it was the case that she is alive, there are two guys whose lives have been destroyed, not ruined, destroyed, and this really needs to be made right. If she's out there, why on earth does someone else have to pay? Oh, over the money. I get it. But this is something that's, I have seen the kind of people that can carry out stuff like this and never, ever bat an eyelash and keep on living their lives. And it bothers me as a citizen of this country.
I've got on the screen the little quote from her video diary.
Mhm.
It was given to us by the guilters. The thought was that this was some sort of college project. But then it was told later that Mike Halbach had produced some video journals she took. And it says, so let's say I die before I'm 31. Let's say I die tomorrow. I don't think I will. I think I have a lot more to do. Kind of eerie. Kind of eerie.
Yeah.
And then to tell Auto Trader that, I'm not going to be working for Auto Trader after the 30 or after Halloween. And that to be true. And then that's the last day you see her. And the only person she told that to was Tom Pierce.
Pierce is the only person who ever quoted that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So wait a minute. Auto Trader didn't even know?
Not that I know
Not
of.
that we know of. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Not that it's
That's
ever been
what Tom
reported.
Pierce
We can
said.
put it that way. We can say it that way. Not that we're aware of. Yeah. Kind of strange. Well, and then the whole part where she signs over assets and such, and who's
Well,
going to do
now,
that at 25?
well, and also there is a trust or something that's still drawing money on it that could possibly go to fund that grant at the college, at Green Bay College.
Daisy Lady is saying the defense team really did not address the issue, the idea that there wasn't enough proof of death. That's my point exactly. None of that, nothing that you would believe that you would see in a trial where somebody's going to be convicted of murder. As a lawyer, you would want to absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, know that if your client goes to jail, that this was because there was actual proof, there's none, that there was an actual death, and there's no proof of that. In my eyes, I cannot see where they're getting he's responsible for her death, because you didn't even prove to me that's her.
The death certificate's a joke.
How many times did the defense have somebody on the ropes and then all of a sudden they just walk away?
Yeah, repeatedly.
So all they were doing was, okay, we're making it look like we're doing our job.
Right.
But
the illusion of justice.
Exactly. The defense sold him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond a shadow
They
of a doubt.
dropped the ball. Yeah. I mean, when Armchair Sleuths can sit down for a couple of days and make a movie that gives over 20 suspects with motives, why did the defense not use some of their $240,000? I mean, that's not all for you to go pocket if you're the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
It's also to hire experts. It's also to investigate what took place.
Yep.
They have a detective on their payroll.
Pete Baez. Yeah.
Why not
he's passed away now.
Well, whatever. Why not make him go and hunt down alibis for these people?
Or even just simply ask them. And if they don't have one, use it against them.
Right.
Use it in the Denny. When they put out, okay, we're doing the Denny law, which isn't unheard of. You're going to have that. It applies to all cases, basically. But in this case, they didn't seem to care. The defense was like, I know we're supposed to check 3 boxes, but we'll check 2 and go with it. Well, I thought they were high-profile lawyers, and I thought they were for the best of their client. They knew that wasn't going to be the best for their client. They knew that was going to secure rejection.
That's why I have such a problem with the gentleman's agreement. They already had an agreement with Steve that they took $250K. So what are they doing making a free gentleman's agreement with Ken Kratz?
Yeah.
For God's sakes, what the hell is that?
The first thing on my mind would be like, why do we want to keep this on the down low?
Right.
Yeah.
That would be
Man,
the
that
first.
should have tipped off the defense, right, Lily?
Yep. Yep. For sure. There's so many red flags. I feel like I'm out on a football field. Oh,
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It burns me up that people that now I've had people who are very educated say, I get that. I get what you're saying. But at some point, somebody needs to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that somebody can find out who those bones do belong to. Period. No matter
Right.
what. I can you imagine how many missing people there are that could actually belong to?
yeah. Yep.
It
I'm
just
reading a
makes
little
me
chat.
sick. It makes me sick beyond belief that so many people want to turn around and say anything derogatory about the fact that in this court case, nobody ever proves any of that ever took place. There's no proof.
Right.
All they found was cremains. That could have come from their local cremator. Sorry.
Well, there
I'm
are
sorry.
homeless people.
It
There
burns me up.
are, and they could have simply done that.
It just burns me up. This whole story came out of this. Well, you know what? If I was a lawyer and I was defending somebody, I would be like, you need to back that shit up. Sorry, excuse me. You need to back that stuff up with the
Right.
facts.
Think of
More
this, you
facts,
guys.
more science.
It's been said a couple times to us as researchers that if there
Our
had
dad.
not, what?
Nothing. Go ahead.
That if it had not been agreed upon in a gentleman's agreement, there would be no case.
Exactly.
Why would you have agreed then? There would have been no case. Well, you need 240,000, don't you?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lisa B says victimology is defense 101. That's true. She
Mm-hmm.
also said no self-respecting lawyer would have agreed to that ridiculous gentleman's agreement. Yeah.
I agree. I'm completely baffled by that. Why that would even exist, why he would go along with that.
Well, and then, okay, let's talk about identification issues. That's a big problem. So we started off with the number one thing, which is the victim's original standard issue identification, her pap smear. Can we check that off that that's hers? Nope, there's no proof. There's absolutely zero proof that's hers. Okay, we can't check that off. Well, like Sammy said, let's go ahead and check the bones off. Those are hers, right? No, can't check those off either.
Then you
Okay,
got no case.
then let's check the blood off. Can we check the blood off? No, because there's the blood is based on the pap smear.
Well,
And if
there's
the
not
pap
Not
even,
to
smear the
mention,
pap
not to
smear is the
mention
poison apple.
there's
the
not
little.
even a full DNA on Teresa. There's not even a full DNA profile done on her.
Listen here,
Wha-
the lack of blood, the small amount of blood that was found nowhere near indicates loss of life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, when you look at the amount of blood, we have more blood and a handprint on the back that does not belong to an Avery or a Dassey. We have a big, bold, bloody handprint on the
That's a
cargo
problem.
handle. That's a problem. That's a huge problem.
Yep.
For Sherry Colhane, I'm going to try not to climb through my
Yeah.
computer and choke this person. Sherry Colhane. Okay, I'm going to try to break this down for you guys. There was enough blood sample on there for her to go back all dang day and get another sample, another sample, another sample.
Right.
So, the cookie jar's full. There's no reason that she's saying she ain't getting enough cookies. She could have went back and got sample after sample, but she chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
She chose to report a partial. But that partial was enough to determine that that handprint doesn't match anybody that lives on that property.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Taddich does not live on that property. Ryan doesn't live on that property. And you have a handful of individuals. You have two specifically that gave their fingerprints to the defense to be eliminated. And guess what? They were Link and Colburn. And guess what happened, you guys? The defense chose not to eliminate them.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the defense not behaving properly?
Yep.
This is beyond ineffectual counseling. This borderline sabotage.
That's right. That's exactly how it looks.
This is why I say Buting is Peg's boy.
So when we have handprints like that,
there's no way around it.
There's no way around A23. It's a smoking gun. We find out whose bloody handprint that is.
And she uses all the sample on the bullet and blows that.
On purpose.
Do you know that right there is an absolute, that is absolutely a case for they're having other suspects.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't match Steven Avery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We found out the bullet's nothing. That handprint is probably the biggest piece of evidence that there is.
Well, and we have a full
and because
profile.
it didn't fit their narrative, they stopped right there. Oh, can't retest that. Oh, fuck no.
Oh, BB.
Pandora's box has been opened. Well,
beep, beep, beep.
I think that they believed that if anyone ever tried, it would be Pandora's box. But guess what? Nobody on this face of this earth, you're not going to find everybody to be so stupid as to believe this whole thing. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, there is. There's a lot of guilters.
I'm talking, not everybody is. Not everybody is.
I'm reading Dassey's
This is something that's every time more stuff comes out or more stuff is found and more stuff is looked into, the more and more it's like you're cleaning the slate of all the garbage.
Well, and what I was going to say is we have CX, which is the sample that's a drop of blood down in the quarry. Now, the complication with CX is that it might very well match the partial, but we're not allowed to match it because we're not given what the partial is. They hide the remains of the partial of A23. They let us have the full CX. All we need to do is find some human being to put CX's results, it's a full profile, into the CODIS. And this case could be over in 10 minutes.
You should tell, Daisy lady, you should come and join us in Discord.
Yeah, anybody's welcome to join us in Discord. That's where we're headed next. And I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you girls coming on and chatting with me tonight. MaM was a lot of work this week to be able to go that in depth on the individuals. I will ask that you share that. The MaM Part 7, No Alibi, it speaks to everything that we're dealing with when it comes to conversations, because it deals with all of the lack of alibi. It deals with the evidence related to each individual, and it explains the Denny law out in a layman's terms so that we can understand why it was implemented. What is it? How does it work? In case you're ever in trouble, Denny law gets brought up, you'll know how to protect yourself. Unfortunately, Steven didn't know any of this, and it kept the jury blinded. And so I appreciate you sharing it to get the word out. It's Thank you, Kelly. Um, it 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 was really mind-boggling that each individual there's no alibis. Most of these people work at graveyard shifts. They're missing work. They're not where they say they are.
Or they're home
It's
alone by themselves with nobody there.
supposedly sleeping. We have
Yeah.
things being removed in evidence in the CASO report on a regular basis that we never hear from again. Oh, why don't you pull those bloody looking sheets and pillowcase and the bloody looking couch cushion out of Chuck Avery's, but let's never talk about it again. So they take the sheets to the crime lab waves them away. Now we don't need those. Yeah. Yeah. Well, girls, I know it takes a lot of gumption to come on here and walk on the She's Alive side. I want to appreciate you. I want to thank you and tell you I appreciate both of you for, walking that out with us a little bit, letting some of us that haven't really given it a lot of thought. There are those, I have, but there are those that haven't thought about it. And there's no proof you're wrong. So I commend you on sticking with it and continuing to research. I do have
Well,
a
thank you,
question for both
Ducky,
of you.
thank you for letting us both speak.
Oh, of course. So what if it was proven today that Teresa was 100% alive? Do you feel that the individual you both have done a lot of research on, that how close are you to associating it to be her?
I feel
No
that
names.
I feel that I have plenty of evidence to prove that it is.
And I've
So
reviewed that.
I am working on a little series of 4 videos.
okay, that you'll bring out for us?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I unfortunately lost all of number 2, so I'm
I know how that
rebuilding
goes.
that. Yeah. Yes, there was a horrible PowerPoint accident and I lost a bunch of my stuff, so but
Sasmir
I
thinks
am
she's
making
alive
it
too.
better.
Sasmir says, I think she's alive.
Yeah, I always think she's alive for 3.5 years now. I can't put it away. I can't walk away from it. I can't let it go. It just eats at
Well,
me.
you know how something just gnaws away at your gut
Yep,
when you
yep,
know
it eats at
somebody's
me.
trying to put fluff in your face and you know it's not right. That's kind of how I feel about this. Hey, maybe I'm just on to the fact that maybe that just wasn't her. I don't know what has become of her, but it's entirely impossible for me to believe that Teresa Halbach was the victim. Nobody has proven that to me yet.
Yeah, I don't buy it at all.
Right.
It's every day
Well, if there
she's
wasn't a
alive to
gentleman's
me.
agreement, you wouldn't have me won over as much. But with the gentleman's agreement, it stands no matter what is said, it stands that if there was medical records that identified that pap smear as Teresa Halbach's, there would be no reason not to put them in the case, just to secure it. No reason whatsoever. Why go out of our way to make an agreement and avoid the paperwork unless there's something nefarious about it? So that does truly bother me. Whether the victim is Teresa, whether the victim is Carmen, or whether the victim is Christine Rudy or somebody we don't know, we will get to the bottom of it one day. We won't give
It
up.
could be several
It all
different people.
even bothers me that Josh Cole ran and won Attorney General of the state, and he's Peg's son and didn't mention it until 2 days after
After all
he
of us
got.
had voted him in.
Yeah,
How
Yeah.
convenient.
How
yeah.
convenient.
Isn't
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
convenient? Yes.
So
That's
Daisy
why it's
Lady
really,
is
really important to know who you're voting for.
yeah.
Yes.
Daisy
Yes.
Lady's bringing up that according to what she's writing, Mike Halbach, it says Mike R. Halbach, and I'm not sure if that's his middle name or not, but it gives a state of Wisconsin versus Mike R. Halbach, and then she states that it's got one possession. I can't say these names. Amphetamine, LSD,
Methamphetamine.
Yeah.
Cyclin, misdemeanor, U2 possession of THC, misdemeanor, U3 possession drugs paraphernalia, misdemeanor, U4 obstructing an officer, misdemeanor A. I don't know if that's him or not, but we are seeing more and more suspicious narcotic language within the case itself, and it's starting to click things together a little bit
Zoe's
more.
not here, but Zoe had found a Hallenbach. I can't remember what his first name was. That runs like a strip club out of Milwaukee. But I can't remember his name. That might be him. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be the same one. I would find it difficult to believe that Mike Halbach from the Green Bay Packers would have that.
Yeah.
And there are people that are named the same.
Yeah, the Hallenbach seem to recycle the first names a lot through the family.
Yeah. Grandma Kitty.
Like
how many
there's
Grandma
a lot
Kitties
of
do you need?
Tims, there's a lot of Mikes, there's a lot of Teresas, there's
a lot of Richard and his brother Tom looking identical. But Richard died at 31, and somebody must have got some life insurance on that. But hey, they don't have to worry about sharing it with anybody else because she married his brother. Yeah, keep it in the family.
That's straight out of the Bible right there. That's straight out of the Bible.
Well, and we have records of Halbachs marrying Halbachs, for God's sakes. I mean, it starts getting messy when you start getting into their ancestry. Very messy by the time you get back to Sly, who had so many children he didn't know what to do. Like Sly Halbach fathered. I'm not kidding. There had to be.
Did he live in a shoe?
Right. This is what I'm saying. So, all right, guys. That's all we're going to do.
So we're going
tonight.
over to Discord.
Yeah, we're going to go over to Discord. We've got Lily pumping out the address for the library, and then also, if you could, Lily, will you throw up the Discord address if you have it handy, love? Look how quick she is. Look at that. She probably did it before I even asked. Now, you're not as quick as Zoe. Zoe works in her sleep. So.
I need you to respond to this email before you wake up.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody that wants to come onto Discord and even if you feel like you need to challenge us, go ahead.
Or chat with us or whatever.
Hey, I worked my butt off. I get a video done, and right away, BB's like, she finds the one thing she doesn't like, and she's like, "Is that ad supposed to be in there?" I'm like, "Well, what'd you think of the whole video?" Yeah. You gotta love them though, because they're the great critics that help us understand what we're doing right.
Put a picture over the ad on the newspaper next time.
I want to thank each of you that's listening as well for joining us. And the more we research, the more we know. Every day we're chiseling away at this. It's like a big onion, and we're peeling off all the layers of lies. And believe me, it's a thick onion, and it reeks. So,
like making pasta, you keep throwing it at the wall until it sticks.
Yeah, you keep throwing it. Yeah, basically.
Thank you, Nick.
Girls.
I had someone share us, so I'm really proud of. Thank you, Nick.
Well, and thank you to everybody that joined us tonight. And Discord's real easy. If you click on the link, it's going to take you right into chat. We'll be there waiting.
There'll be voice chat on your left side. And you can be in a conference call with us and talk or you can type on the wall if you're afraid to use your voice or have to be quiet.
If you're shy, you've still got a way to type and you can still hear us talk. But just like this, it stays the same, only we go to a different venue. It is a little tiny download, but it's very short and it pops you right into our room. So you don't have to worry that you're going to end up in a big room and where different choices are being made to try to find us. When you download that, if you've taken the link from here, it'll take you right into the room. So hope to see you there. Thank you, Sasmir. Hugs back to you. Much love, everybody, and thanks for joining us on this Friday Night Live.
And you gonna say your line?
Oh, yeah. All right. If you didn't do the crime, you
You
shouldn't.
shouldn't do the
Do
time.
the
You shouldn't
time.
do the time. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful night. And now I got to do the whole thing where I got to find how to disconnect, which is always
Okay,
me.
I'm out of here.
Okay, see you girls in the Discord.